You must force yourself to take action. Courage is not the absence of hesitation. It is the refusal to be ruled by it. Too many waste their energy trying to feel ready, but readiness is a myth. The truth is this: you will rarely feel prepared. You will often feel afraid. You may even feel small, but action is not reserved for the confident. It is demanded of the committed. You do not act because you are fearless. You act because the cause is too great to remain still. You act because your purpose does not allow silence. And you act because time waits for no one, and each delay comes at a cost. Action transforms doubt into direction. It teaches faster than any book and reveals strength you forgot you had. When you take that first step, even trembling, the world begins to shift, not always around you, but always within you. Momentum is the reward for the brave. And yes, there will be resistance. You will question yourself. Others will doubt you. The path may grow dark, but remember this: progress is not born from comfort. It is forged in discomfort, in risk, in decisions made when it would have been easier to stay still. Force yourself to act not because it is easy, but because you refuse to let fear decide who you become. Each day there is a choice: to remain in hesitation or step forward with resolve, to keep your dreams trapped in your thoughts or give them breath through effort, to speak of change or become the change. You were not born to wait. You were born to move. Becomes its barrier. It is the silent prison where so many dreams are buried, not because of lack of skill, but because of too much delay. When you allow thought to dominate action, you become trapped in endless cycles of doubt, second-guessing, and fear. The plan is never ready enough. The timing is never right enough. The self is never confident enough, and so the moment to act never comes. Or worst, it passes you by. What begins as careful reflection becomes a disguise for procrastination. You tell yourself you are being wise, being cautious, being thorough. But in truth, you are stalling. You are allowing your mind to paint the worst outcomes before you've even taken the first step. And so you study the map for so long, you forget the path is meant to be walked, not only read. But thought without motion achieves nothing. Wisdom grows through experience, not just through contemplation. A mind full of knowledge but empty of application remains powerless. One step forward in uncertainty carries more value than 100 imagined in fear. The world does not change because of what we think. It changes because of what we do. Action does not require perfect clarity. It only requires honest commitment. And often, it is in the doing that the clarity appears. Those who achieve something meaningful in life are not those who always knew the outcome, but those who were willing to act despite not knowing. They silence the noise of doubt by drowning it in momentum. They learn to trust that motion itself is a teacher, and that, over time, it will reveal what thought alone never could. So when your thoughts become louder than your will to move, that is the moment to move anyway. Fear of failure controls decisions when a person begins to serve their fears instead of their values. It is not failure itself that limits us. It is the anticipation of it, the imagined disgrace, the silent judgment, the worry that effort might end in defeat. This fear is powerful not because it is always loud, but because it quietly shapes our choices. It encourages the safe road, the familiar corner, the smaller dream. It whispers that it is better not to try than to try and fall short. And so, over time, we begin to trade ambition for safety, vision for comfort, and risk for regret. We disguise our fear as realism and call it wisdom, when in truth it is the slow erosion of courage. And when fear becomes the compass of our decisions, we may avoid failure, but we also forfeit growth, learning, and the possibility of something extraordinary. Yet the truth remains: no life of significance has ever escaped failure. Those who lead, who build, who rise, they are not untouched by failure. They are transformed by it. The difference is not in what they face, but in how they face it. To live with purpose is to accept that failure is not an end, it is an education. It is a mirror that shows us what needs refinement, not what needs retreat. When we let fear decide, we shrink before we even begin. But when we acknowledge fear and move through it, we find a deeper kind of strength, not the absence of failure, but the resilience to rise from it. Every great achievement stands on foundation of moments where failure was possible and action was chosen anyway. Comfort is chosen over challenge. When the path of least resistance becomes more attractive than the pursuit of purpose, it is easy to remain where the ground feels familiar, where the air is still and the demands are low. Comfort gives the illusion of safety, but over time it becomes a quiet prison. It slowly dulls the mind, softens the will, and steals the urgency from our vision. A person may appear calm, even content, but inside they carry a quiet unrest, the knowledge that they are capable of more, yet avoiding it. The body rests, but the spirit grows restless. For comfort, when pursued above challenge, does not nourish the soul, it lulls it into passivity. Life was never meant to be lived entirely within the borders of ease. True growth, fulfillment, and meaning dwell beyond the walls of what is convenient. To rise into one's full potential requires discomfort. It demands that we step into uncertainty, face resistance, and risk the pain of stumbling. But in doing so, we also invite the possibility of transformation. It is through challenge that our character is tested, our resilience is shaped, and our faith is deepened. Each time we choose challenge over comfort, we expand our capacity not only to endure, but to lead, to serve, and to elevate others. We become more than what we were and closer to who we are meant to be. So when the choice arises between the known and the necessary, the easy and the essential, choose the path that stretches you. For it is the path of challenge, not comfort, that shapes a life worthy of remembering. Excuses become identity when the stories we tell to justify inaction begin to define who we are. At first, they are small defenses, reasons offered to explain a missed opportunity, a delay in effort, or a hesitation in taking risk. But over time, these reasons become repeated narratives. I'm too busy. I'm not ready. I wasn't given the chance. These phrases, spoken often enough, start to shape our image of ourselves, not as someone with agency, but as someone at the mercy of circumstance. What was once a moment of hesitation becomes a habit of avoidance. We no longer see possibility because we've trained our minds to seek limitation. The danger is not in making excuses occasionally, it is in allowing them to take root so deeply that we no longer question them. And when our excuses become familiar, we begin to protect them. We build our routines, our decisions, even our dreams around them and call it reality. But the truth is, excuses are not reflections of fate. They are reflections of fear. They are the voices we use to avoid discomfort, to shield ourselves from the burden of responsibility. And yet, the cost is high. For every excuse we adopt, we surrender a piece of power. We diminish the possibility of who we might become. To reclaim that power, one must first confront the excuses with honesty. Ask, is this truly an obstacle, or is it a convenient exit from effort? Growth begins the moment we stop defending our limitations and start dismantling them. You are not your excuses. You are the choice that lies beyond them. The person who decides to move anyway, to rise anyway, to build a life not defined by fear, but by courage in the face of it.